Welcome to 2019. Before we get caught up in the activities of the year, we thought it would be useful for us to take a break, reflect on some of the key highlights of the Nigerian oil and gas sector in the year 2018 and see how some of these activities would influence the coming year. The big thing last year was the rebound in the price of crude oil and the decline in the activities of militants in the Niger Delta. The resulting effect of that was that there was a lot more cash flow for the country and also players in the upstream.
In relation to financing, we saw the headline deal for the year being the NLNG Train 7 financing finally kick off, and that's the financing and the development for the NLNG Train 7 to help NLNG continue to meet its obligations in relation to gas purchases and gas deliveries across the world. 2018 also saw NNPC and NPDC step up their adoption of alternative financing models to sidestep some of the restrictions that they have in relation to borrowings and all of that. We saw a few deals come to the table, and one very critical nameplate deal that happened in 2018 was the Petrobras share acquisition, even though there were some critical underlying assets involved in that deal.
There's still a whole lot more we can do with gas. Thankfully for us, in terms of given some of the increased activities we've seen in the sector, we've been able to increase our proven gas reserves from about 199 trillion standard cubic feet to about 202 trillion standard cubic feet. Even in terms of unproven gas reserves, we've seen the reserve numbers grow to about 600 trillion standard cubic feet, which is quite significant.
Despite concerted calls for the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill, 2018 ended without the bill being passed. Now, this has elicited various degrees of concerns from stakeholders, including IOCs, who have consistently stated that it's one of the factors standing in the way of investments in Nigeria's upstream sector. Now, for example, information from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that foreign direct investments in the Nigerian oil and gas sector declined from January to September 2018, declined by about 6.16%. Now, when you translate that into figures, it means that from January to September 2018, we had about $118.2 million in investments into the Nigerian oil and gas sector.
2019 kicks off with the general election in Nigeria, and that is a big one for the country. From all accounts, 2019 is bound to start on the slow note. However, we are of a strong view that the latter half of 2019 will be a busy one for all players in the oil and gas sector in Nigeria. And this is because a number of activities that started in 2018 would keep feeding activities through 2019. And secondly, Nigeria still requires massive capex investment. And we believe 2019 would have its own good share of those investments.
On the upstream side, it's estimated that over the next 5 to 6 years, about 24% of the projected total capex expenditure in the oil and gas sector to be spent in sub-Saharan Africa will be expended in Nigeria. And some of the assets and projects that will be headlining that expense include the AGIP-operated Zabazaba Eton project, Shell's Bonga Southwest and Bonga North projects. In relation to some of the investments we expect to see in the new year, even though some of those investments sort of slowed down last year on account of the OMLs that were due to expire, a number of those OMLs have received their renewals, and so we think that also trigger fresh investments by the asset holders.
Now we think we'll begin to witness increased utilization of pipeline gas, increased network, and even gas hubs. The development of gas hubs, if you recall, the gas policy has placed a lot of premium on the development of gas hubs, and we begin to think that this is an area in which we think there will be increased activities.
Finally, Nigeria is still a choice destination for investment. That's why we believe that 2019 will still be a year that will attract a lot of investment into the market. From all of us at Olaniwun Ajayi, we'd like to say a big thank you for sharing 2018 with us, and we look forward to a rewarding 2019.